Ave Maria. Welcome back to No Apologies. So today we're going to begin to take a look at the Jehovah's Witnesses' non-belief in the Holy Trinity. And we want to show that it's because of faulty reasoning and because of faulty interpretations of sacred scripture in the Church Fathers that they have come to this disbelief. We're going to take again as our guide Father Chenkum and Jim Burnham, and we're going to take a look at the Jehovah's booklet called Should You Believe in the Trinity? And in this booklet is claimed that the Christian Trinity is actually taken from an ancient pagan trinities. And there are pictures of different pagan gods, some with 3 heads, and some of 3 gods in groups of 3, alongside of some pictures of 3 heads which represent the Trinity, which were painted by early Christians. Because the images are in some way similar, the Jehovah's conclude that one must have come from the other. But we say to conclude that absolutely just on that evidence is an unjust assumption, as it doesn't follow that just because 2 things are similar, one must necessarily be the cause of another. They could just as easily have separate causes, and the similarities be a coincidence. Jehovah's and Muslims are similar in that they both deny the divinity of Christ, they both deny the Trinity, and they both do not accept unordained priesthood. But they each would be the first to deny that either religion came from the other. But besides that logical fallacy, we also point out that what is being portrayed in the images may be similar visually, but doctrinally they're not similar at all. For the pagans were portraying 3 separate gods, while the Christian understanding of the Trinity is absolutely unique to Christianity, for it's not 3 gods, but 3 persons in the one God. And no pagan belief has ever come even close to that kind of an understanding. Now another claim of the Jehovah's in that booklet is that the doctrine of the Trinity is confusing and contrary to reason, and therefore cannot have come from God, because God is not a God of confusion. They say it's confusing because people find it difficult and impossible to understand and explain, and they quote some Catholics, including the late John Paul II, who affirm that the doctrine of the Trinity is a mystery. Now the error here is equating a mystery with confusion or disbelief. Just because something is a mystery, meaning that we can't fully understand it, it doesn't follow that it's completely unknowable or that it doesn't exist at all. It just means that it's something that's too deep for us to know or understand completely. God is an infinite being, and we shouldn't be surprised if there are some truths about Him which we're not able to fully comprehend in our finite minds. Jehovah's, like Catholics, believe that God created everything from absolutely nothing. But there are people who say that it's absurd to think that anything could be created from nothing. But the Jehovah's would respond to that. That is true, even though it's something that's beyond our understanding, how He actually brought something out of nothing. So it's inconsistent of Jehovah's to say that the Trinity could not be true simply because we can't fully comprehend it, while at the same time maintaining their belief in creation from nothing, even though we can't fully comprehend how He did it. So because something is beyond our reason, it doesn't mean it's contrary to reason. And another claim in the booklet is that the Trinity is a contradiction in itself, because how can you say that 3 are equal to 1? But we're not saying that there are 3 gods in one God, but we're saying that there are 3 persons in one God. So it's the same as if I said there are 5 people in one family. I'm not equating 5 and 1, but when I say 5, I'm referring to the persons. When I say 1, I'm referring to the family. So also with the Trinity. When we speak of 3, we're speaking of persons, and when we're speaking of 1, we're speaking of the Godhead. Now lastly, another difficulty with the booklet is that they quote from very biased references and use them as their objective authorities. For example, they quote Hans Küng as being a Catholic theologian, even though his license to teach was revoked by the Vatican because of his false views. They quote Edward Gibbon, who was an extremely anti-Catholic historian. And while using these kinds of biased sources, they never once present a true, solid Catholic authority such as St. Augustine or St. Thomas Aquinas, even for the purpose of refuting them. So in this regard, we simply point out that the booklet is being dishonest, and it certainly can't be considered as a real search for objective truth. So thanks for joining me here on No Apologies. Ave Maria.